Welcome to another Q&A, and this week we are looking at a question passed to me on LinkedIn, which is, I saw in one of your lessons you dropped a function block and the interface was already populated with valid data. How did you do this? And what they're referring to is taking a function block from your project tree and dropping it into an instance, a OB1 or another function block, creating an instance of it, and the interface actually having data already assigned to it. And it's one of those little things that isn't immediately obvious, but let's go ahead and create a function block. Okay, so what I've created is a very, very simple block, which has a clock pulse input, an enable input, and an output. And the function of this function block is to accept a clock pulse. And only when our enable is high do we actually send the output. Now I chose this example because the clock pulse is something that the PLC provides, and we have a various different range of different clock pulses, and we can assume that under normal conditions we're going to use 0.5 Hertz, but we want to give the option that they can pass in whatever they want for this function block. So let's go ahead and drop down an instance of this. And right now, when we drop it, we can see that we just have clock pulse, enable, and Q, which is what we expect. And someone would have to type in M0.5 for our 1 Hertz, not half Hertz, sorry. And then true, or we'll put a tag on this, FB1 DB enable, and our output. Now, under 90% of use cases, 1 Hertz might be what someone types in here all the time. So Tier Portal does have a function that allows us to say, we're pretty sure that someone's going to put this tag here. So let's enable it to be there already. And then if somebody wants to change it, they can. And that's done by clicking on your variable and coming down to properties, where you will see some attributes, one of which is predefined actual parameter. And on here, I can type M0.5 and choose clock 1 Hertz. There's also an option here that says show if parameter assigned on block call is not identical to the predefined actual parameter, but that's only available if you say hide, or hide if no parameter is assigned. Oh no, sorry, just hide. So if you choose to hide this input, if somebody shows it and changes it from M0.5, it will be displayed all the time. So I'm going to tick that just to demonstrate that. When I go back to main, we'll see that nothing's changed, but the next time I drop an instance of this and create this as a second instance, it already dropped clock 1 Hertz, which is exactly what we wanted it to do. Interestingly, I've just uncovered something that I didn't know happened, and we should be hiding this input, but because I declared %M0.5, so an absolute address to the tag, and the symbolic address has been added, it doesn't match. So therefore Tier Portal is showing it. So let's just fix that by going back to FB1, going to properties for this tag. Whoops, you actually have to be clicked on it. It looks like it's highlighted, but it's not. Click on properties and change this to the actual tag, which is clock 1 Hertz. And then come back to main. And I think we might need to close this and reopen it. And this time it's not displayed. You'll see that there's a little black down arrow. If you click that, you can now see that clock pulse is there, and it's already defined with clock 1 Hertz. Well, this one was when we dropped it down, and the reason it's not being displayed is because it matches. So if I drop another instance, whoops, that's main. If I drop another instance of FB1, This time it appears with just this enable value on. And when I click that button, we can see that this is here. However, if I change this to clock 10 Hertz, now it becomes visible and the arrow disappears and you can't hide it. So whilst this is a very small example, if you can imagine large scale function blocks that you use very, very often with only maybe 3 or 4 different parameters on that you actually change, but you want to pass data in to that function block and have the option to change it if you need to change it, this sort of functionality comes in very, very handy.